Welcome to Rebecca and Rebecca.
Where we love books. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of Rebecca and Rebecca, where we love books. I'm Rebecca Reed from rural Indiana, and this is my partner in books, Rebecca Yager, who is normally from Dallas, Texas, but is not there right now. So,
No,
welcome and hello.
hello. No, I'm still hanging out in Arizona, so hopefully we'll be home soon. So,
Awesome. Yeah, that would be great. I know it's difficult to do all the things when you're not at home, so hard to keep
yes,
track of everything and all that. But hey,
right.
we're going to talk about a lovely book that we read this past summer, and it is called Over the Edge by Susan May Warren and Tari Faris. And I believe you have the little blurb
I
for us so that
do.
we have a kind of a little intro, and then we'll get into discussions after
Yes.
that.
This is book one of the Summer Rangers series. When a woman running from the mob meets a ranger haunted by his past, the Grand Canyon's dangers might be the least of their troubles. Tech-savvy hacker Nimue Hart has mastered the art of staying invisible, living off-grid in her Airstream, hiding from the Russian mob, who want her silenced. But when a rescue mission forces her into the spotlight, her carefully constructed world begins to crumble. Grand Canyon backcountry ranger Liam Kingsley buried his heart in the Swiss Alps a year ago after a tragic climbing accident. Now he keeps tourists safe and his emotions locked away until a mysterious woman with secrets of her own makes him question everything he thought he knew about safety. As their worlds collide, Nimue and Liam must navigate more than just the treacherous canyon trails, with mobsters closing in, a dangerous treasure unearthed, and lives hanging in the balance during a catastrophic flash flood. Their growing trust in each other might be their only lifeline. But when Nimue's past catches up with them at the canyon's edge, Liam faces his worst nightmare all over again, this time with a woman he can't bear to lose. And so that is Over the Edge, and that sounds very typical for a Susan May Warren book, where she just loves to keep adding on, adding on, adding on with the tension.
Yes, that is true. Um, Although you can definitely feel little bits of Terry Farris in there. If you've read any of her heritage stories, this is a character who is related to her heritage, what do I call a setting, I guess, the heritage world.
Yes,
And
yes,
Liam and Logan are twins. And so
right.
if you've read any of those, you'll recognize those names a bit. Of course, they didn't know each other existed or know where each other was for quite a while, if I recall. It's been a minute since I read those, but um, and Nimue comes from a Susan May Warren world, so the Susie verse,
This,
as they say.
yeah, Nimue comes from the book Steinbeck, part of another series from Susan May Warren, and I think it's really fascinating to combine Terry's world, book she's written with Susan May Warren's world.
Yes, and they collide in quite a spectacular way because, as you can imagine, the Grand Canyon is a spectacular setting.
Hmm.
But the North Rim is a little less well known, right?
Hmm.
The North Rim is where this takes place, and
Hmm.
so we're in the backcountry. We're not in the main touristy part. This is where only the diehard climbers and nature people or people who want to hide, I suppose, head, right? Because that seems to be what everyone is doing in this book is hiding from something.
That's true. Liam is kind of from this climbing accident. He's almost hiding in the North Rim area and just trying to keep people safe and not willing to venture out. He used to have this gung-ho spirit, right? And willing to try anything. And he's kind of playing it safe these days. And then Nimue is hiding as a sense of survival. She's got to stay under the radar because the Russian mob is after
Yes.
her.
Not just for herself, but for her family as
Yeah.
well, because they've tracked her to places that she didn't enjoy them being tracked to toward her family, and she wanted to definitely stay away from them and get them as out of the crosshairs as possible. So she's taken to living on her own, off the grid, although she has quite the tech surrounding her, so she's not blind by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
However, it's her and her surveillance devices against the world, so to speak.
And her
And
computer. She's a hacker, a good hacker.
yes,
But
yes,
um,
yes. Yeah, it's very interesting. And of course Liam, who is always keeping his eye out for danger, he spots her because she's kind of in a place she's not supposed to be.
mhm,
Not intentionally necessarily in the wrong place, but she's camping on Federal Reserve land, I believe is what that would be considered.
mhm.
And she's a little close to the edge, which is kind of interesting.
Which is what caught his attention. He doing a rescue and happened to see her in this part of the rim. That yeah, and instead of her hiding, she kind of stood out, and that was unexpected for her as well.
Right. So we should mention, I don't know if I guess it mentions that Liam is a ranger,
Hmm. Hmm.
but this is, this is backcountry ranger, as I mentioned. It's not your tourist leading a group kind of ranger. He's actually out there to rescue people
Hmm.
who get in too deep, who go places they're not supposed to, who don't realize the dangers of the canyon, and he's well versed in all of those. So he's finding lost people,
Right.
lost things, and just generally advising people, hey, stay away from the edge, don't camp in that ravine because if there's a flash flood, you'll be in trouble,
Hmm.
which happens later on. And
Hmm.
just trying to, generally keep people out of danger while he has to put himself in danger quite often to rescue those, as do the other rangers. And there's quite a team involved that's almost like a family. Well,
Yeah.
they are very
Yeah.
close knit. They operate kind of as a family. And we have Noah, who's
Noah.
he's in charge, right?
Hmm.
And there's a
Teague is
Teague,
the
yeah.
other ranger. So the three rangers there are the tight-knit family, and then there's a doctor, Meg, um, who is,
Yes.
if you know anything about Susie and even Terry's books, they set up the next book too very nicely, and it's Noah and Meg's story. So as you're
Mhm.
reading Over the Edge, you can get a glimpse of what might happen in book two, even. So I like that. Keep reading.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very interesting because she does use the four POVs. We have not only Liam and Nimue, but we also have Meg and Noah's
Mhm.
POVs. And the first time, I don't know about you, but the first time I came across, I think was Meg the first one or Noah? I can't remember who it was now. One of
I think
those
it was
two.
Noah.
Was it
Hmm,
Noah?
I
It
don't know.
it just kind of struck me as like, wait, I know who this is, but why is he talking to me?
Well, in a sense, it was. Yeah, because startling, because at that point we were very used to Liam's POV and Nim's POV. And then, yes, Noah kind of jumped in there. And I believe it was Noah, and if I'm wrong, forgive me.
I
Either
think
one.
it was Noah, but
Meg or
yeah,
Noah's. Yeah.
the first one that wasn't, as you mentioned, the main hero and
Hmm.
heroine's POVs, I was like, hold it, wait a minute. But it was fine after I get used to it. Then
Hmm.
they came in with more regularity. They just didn't show up at the very beginning, like the first part
Yeah.
of the book, and it
Yeah.
was kind of a jarring sensation the very
Hmm.
first time. But after that, they fit in very seamlessly, I felt like. So it
Hmm.
was just that very first time was just a little off-putting. And then once I got into it, I enjoyed the POV. It was just like I wasn't expecting it, I think.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
that's a better way. We just weren't expecting it, but it didn't,
yeah.
ruin anything. And once you got used
Oh,
to it, you've got. I'm glad to get to know Noah, and glad to get to know
yes.
Meg, and again, it sets up book two, but it doesn't take away. They're all part. They're an integral part, actually, of the story. And as
Hmm.
the flood hits later in the book, and as the danger and the suspense increases, it's good to know them also as characters. Um,
Yes, they do provide insights that you wouldn't
mhm.
get otherwise, and we find out about through them about other characters that are probably wouldn't be accessible through Liam and Nimwe's
Mm, hmm
POVs. So,
hmm
they're important in their own right, not only because they're setting up book two and we're getting to know them, but just because they shared in things that we wouldn't necessarily know otherwise, and that was important.
Right.
Um,
I think one thing that was important in this book too was the sense of family. And again, we talked about kind of the chosen family with the three rangers and that are there at the north rim of the canyon. But then Liam's family makes an appearance, including Logan, and his brothers. And Nim has her sister and her sister's fiance as well, as part of the story, and they're from the Steinbeck story. Steinbeck is the sister's fiance. Um, so it family becomes a very important theme, whether chosen or whether by blood, and how you protect each other and care for each other. And that's just in the middle of all this suspense and even the upcoming romance with Liam and Nim. It's kind of nice to have these family moments and the importance of having good people around you.
I agree. And I think Everly, who is the Nim's
Mhm,
sister, without her, I think, Nim, she couldn't have maintained this solitary
mhm,
existence. She's really not happy with it to begin with. She'd really rather not be by herself, but she's dedicated to her family and dedicated to protecting them. Um, and but without Everly's phone calls and guidance in certain areas, she would definitely um, be much more alone
yeah.
feeling. And it kind of that connection keeps her sane and keeps her functioning and keeps her, her ability to stay away
Hmm.
intact. So
Yeah.
yes, that is very important. We do learn if you have read Steinbeck or the other Minnesota Kingston's books in Susie's series, we do learn more about what's going on with them, and you kind of get some caught up on some things that were left hanging in the other books. So it's kind of fun in that way,
Hmm.
but it's not necessary by any stretch to have
No,
read either of any of these
no,
series. This is
no.
definitely a standalone book.
Yes.
And if you enjoy adventure, there's lots of it. There's rock climbing, there's
Uh-huh.
rappelling, there's caves, there's all kinds of Grand Canyon like
Mm, mm,
um, adventures galore going on in this book. So if that's your thing, you'll definitely enjoy that. If you like the nonstop tension, and I mean it's
mhm.
not nonstop. I say that, but that's not what I mean. Because some books really literally are nonstop and you never get a breathe. You
Right.
definitely have chances to breathe in this story. It's a
Yes.
very that rhythm is very well done. There's the tension, and then you have the moment of kind of okay, let's take a breath before the next
Hmm.
thing comes. So
Hmm.
it's very well paced in my
Hmm.
opinion.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
very, the characters are very well drawn.
Mhm.
There's a lot of backstory that's layered in, and also lots of room for growing individually in many ways, the spiritual aspect, the personal aspect, the physical aspect as
Mhm.
well. I think they're all kind of growing into themselves and figuring out who they are in this new reality that each of them has kind of found themselves in.
Mhm.
So lots
Yeah.
of things to look to like, whether you're a heavy on the romance or heavy on the adventure or the suspense. It has all of those mingled in very, very nicely for you to
I,
enjoy.
I agree. And I think that the name of the series is the Summer Rangers. This is a good summer book to read because it is, adventure and romance and everything you said, very well paced. I totally agree with that. And it makes it fun, and I am looking forward to book two being out, and it might be out actually. And I think I'm going to read the whole series
Yeah, I
because
think
I'm
so.
enjoying it.
And I can't wait to talk to Terry about some of these things and how hard or easy maybe, I don't know, difficult, easy, how, when you're taking characters that really you didn't
Mm,
create,
hmm.
how hard is that to carry them through and really show their arcs when you're not as familiar maybe with all of the backstory pieces as you would be if it was a character from your own series, like Liam, who she created, versus
Mhm.
Nimue, who was Susan May
Susan's,
Warren,
yeah, how do you
and
combine
how
that?
did, yeah, how do you combine that? And how do you write with somebody who has written so many stories? Like, and, just has everything kind of figured out. Whereas maybe, not that Terry doesn't have things figured out, but it's got to be a little bit different writing with somebody with so much experience in the romantic
Mhm.
suspense or adventure area, where Terry has been mostly in the romance, right? So,
But I was going to
how do
say,
you
yeah, this was
how do
new
you
for
learn,
Terry.
that different genre? How do you figure that out? And how
Right.
does that meld, all those pieces meld together? So that'll be one of the things we'll be sure to talk to Terry about when she joins us in a
Yes.
couple of weeks.
But
So,
meanwhile, I think Pick Up Over the Edge. I think it was a fun
mhm.
read. Again, good with romantic suspense, good pacing, liked the characters. And then our conversation with Terry will be in 2 weeks from today. So we look forward to
Yes.
talking to her and learning more. So,
Yes, be sure to join us. Don't forget to subscribe and like and all of the things so you don't miss any of the episodes. And as we said, we have that one coming up in 2 weeks. And then in between, we have our book bite
mhm.
episodes. So those can all be found, the schedule and everything, on our website, rebeccaandrebecca.com. You can find us on Instagram and all the podcast places, YouTube if you prefer video. Spotify has video as well. So you can
Mhm.
find all those different ways to view us and listen to us, and find out, insights into your new favorite stories.
There you go. And share with us if it's a new favorite with you. We'd like to have a conversation with you as well.
Indeed. So,
All
all right.
right.
Well, you know what? I think that's going to wrap up this episode,
Mhm.
but we have lots of things coming up. So, we're looking forward to chatting with you, seeing you, having you listen to us, and the next episode. So,
All right.
until
Well,
then,
take care, everybody. We'll see you soon.
bye bye.